What is going on, Bears fans? The Chicago Bears have fallen to the Detroit Lions 34-17 in a game that I think we all saw it coming. I think we all understood that this Bears team has given up on this coaching staff and this team. And there are quite a few players, not enough, that still care. But, we've got some people coasting their way through. We've also had a series of almost insurmountable injuries to the point that this team, we sometimes question, can they even field a defensive line at this point? We are at backups to the backups at this point. The team devastated. Ryan Poles just poorly understaffed this team. And on the offensive line, you know what? We're going to talk about all that and more. Final score 34-17 in a game that Caleb Williams has now gone over 3,000 yards for the season, making him the first Bears rookie to have a 3,000-yard season. And there is a distinct possibility with 2 games remaining that Caleb Williams in his rookie season will become the all-time Chicago Bears passing leader. And there's a lot of fans out there right now who are saying, I don't like him having pink fingernails. When he has pink fingernails, it makes me feel some kind of weird way. And that's the way you talk in my head because you got an extra chromosome because you're not watching the product on the field. Caleb Williams is lighting it up. Now, the problem is, or has been, scheming and coaching to get better. And look, we saw a brilliant set of, even the first half where we struggled to score. We saw Caleb Williams looking just phenomenal. And it was in the second half when it became obvious that all we could do was pass the ball at that point. It became obvious at that point. So the team started keying in on the passing game and his statistics started to come down just a little bit. But Caleb Williams finished 26 of 40 for 334 yards. Now, he did have a fumble, but no interceptions yet again. Caleb Williams on track to have 20 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions, and setting the all-time record for Chicago Bears passer. Currently held, I think it's 3,838 yards by Eric Kramer. It would take a little bit more. I think it's going to take something like 310 yards per game for the last 2 games, which we had 334 in this game. 310 yards per game in the last 2 games for him to set the record. And that'd be a phenomenal feat. It would be a phenomenal feat. Now, small consolation on a season that's gone absolutely awry for a myriad of reasons, most of them involving coaching and poor decision-making. Speaking of poor decision-making, let's talk about for just a moment before we continue here, Thomas Brown. Now, what would you expect from a guy who's taking over a team where the coach has been fired? You would expect him to come up with a plan to capitalize on the players that they brought in, right? That would be your go-to, right? Instead, what are we doing? We continue to throw to Keenan Allen. He's getting more targets than anybody else on this team. Cole Kmet, only 2 targets. 1 touchdown, by the way. Cole Kmet coming through when it matters. What are we doing? We're throwing it to Keenan Allen again. Why are we throwing it? Look, I like Keenan Allen. I would like for Keenan Allen to be on this team next year. But Keenan Allen is not the future of the Chicago Bears. Rome Odunze is the future of the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams is the future of the Chicago Bears. Why are they not getting more opportunities? Cole Kmet is the future of the Chicago. Why is he not getting? DJ Moore, why is he not? Why is Keenan Allen the most involved wide receiver for Caleb Williams at this point? Now listen, in your progressions, you should be looking for a receiver and you should be using a specific format, and that's what your offensive coordinator is going to teach you. You're going to be looking to your guys in succession, in a natural progression. So you're going to put Keenan Allen in a place where you want to get the ball to him. Well, you should be putting Rome Odunze in that place, and your progression should go to Rome Odunze, to DJ Moore, to Cole Kmet, to your Keenan Allen outlet from that point. And you mean to tell me that Rome DJ and Cole Kmet can't get open. That's not true. So this doesn't make any sense to me what Thomas Brown is doing here. And look, maybe just to me, again, maybe this is sour grapes for me, because I would like to see Roma Dunze really start to come alive and get ready for this next season. Because, look, this next season's coming soon enough. This has been a disaster of a season, and we need a new broom, if you will, to sweep clean. And one of those things that we're going to have to sweep out the door most likely would be Keenan Allen, unless he takes a significant pay cut. I'm not sure that that's something that he wants to do, okay? Which is why I bring this up. There's no reason to give him a bunch of touches so that the people who need the touches and need the practice aren't getting it. That doesn't make any sense to me, okay? And I hope it doesn't to you either, because that would mean you're a genius. So anyway, as far as the rushing game goes, DeAndre Swift just having an incredibly underwhelming season. And by the way, not horrible by some standards, just not great. This team has fallen apart in its ability to run the ball. Now, this is the same team, by the way, who was the number one rushing offense last season. The difference is DeAndre Swift. And in fact, there were two people that were brought in here that are on this line that were not last year. That is, number one, Coleman Shelton, and number two, Ryan Bates. But Ryan Bates hasn't played all season. So this is basically down to Coleman Shelton and then maybe, Matt Pryor, because, this line has been makeshift since the beginning of this season. And in fact, I should point out, despite the fact that we've seen some poor play at times, Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones still grade out as really good tackles. The problem really has been a lot of times the interior, and Karan Emagaji, to his discredit, when he got into the game, he looked clearly outmatched. So, this guy was not ready for the speed of a guy who came in the same class, by the way, Dallas Turner. How are you not ready for that? But I digress. Not ready for this game yet. There's clearly problems here. And look, the Bears reached to try to get this guy, and maybe he's got a good future. We haven't seen it yet, but maybe we will. The problem, though, however, is DeAndre Swift did not get loose enough to really make a difference in the backfield. And look, to our, again, discredit, Roschon Johnson, the backup, barely touching the ball for extended periods of time. Travis Homer, although not on the stat line, got a lot of playing time as well. Like, it's been a very weird sort of season, right? And we just don't run the ball very well up the middle. Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, those are those guys, but we just really haven't even tried. And when we did try to go up the middle, who do we go to? DeAndre Swift. What is DeAndre Swift's bane, if you will? Going up the middle. So, look, guys, there's a lot of different boneheaded decisions, in my opinion, between Thomas Brown and Shane Waldron that they're going to have to account for. And not the least of which is, how do we have two receivers in the same spot in the end zone? How do we run up the middle with DeAndre Swift? Just some really boneheaded, head scratcher things. Now, also, don't forget that Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze both had fumbles. So, that would be an interesting thing. Caleb Williams, 2 fumbles, lost 1. Roma Dunze, 1 fumble, and he lost 1. So we got to protect the ball just a little bit better. Now, look, when we get down to it, here's the issue, though. The biggest issue is, and we've obviously wasted a season on Ryan Bates, who's now on the injured reserve and thus done for the season. But when you start to break down this defense, a lot of the stuff just doesn't make any sense at this point. We lost Javon Dexter to injury. We lost Andrew Billings to injury. We lost our main defensive tackles to injuries. Our defensive end, Montez Sweat, has spent the season just not really pumping on all cylinders. DeMarcus Walker, kind of the same thing. Austin Booker, as you notice right here, he's not on the list for anything. I mean, this is just an incredibly weird sort of scenario. And we finally got Tyler Scott into the game on kick returns, and he better than DeAndre Carter. Why is Tyler Scott not get? Guys, there are a lot of things that have happened for this season that just don't make sense. Okay, the new broom will have to sweep clean. Thomas Brown's got to go. We absolutely can't. just continue. So anyway, if you follow my comment section for any reason, you might find a lot of people from Detroit coming into my comment section to tell me how Ben Johnson is never going to come to Chicago. He is not interested at all in Chicago. Well, it turns out that's not true at all. They are deceptive and misleading liars because they didn't know. And look, according to reports from ESPN and the NFL Network, Ben Johnson is intrigued and wants to interview for the Chicago Bears vacancy this offseason. And this, by the way, is coming from Pride of Detroit, which is going to have to, look, I'm not going to go into the comment section down there, but it's going to have to just absolutely annoy a whole bunch of people who spend a lot of time being mad for no reason. For a 13-2 team, I have no idea why they're so angry and upset. Oh yeah, it's because they never win Super Bowl. Never mind. I guess that's probably what it is. Anyway, so Ben Johnson now the likely favorite at this point, and this team is going to take its time and due diligence, and they are going to look real hard at Ben Johnson. Now, that can only end positively, in my opinion. Now, some of you might be of the guys here that, you know, we need to stop giving people opportunities and chances. What we need to do is we need to go out there and we need to find a guy who's done it before and who's been one of those people. And I would agree. Like, I would agree. But Jim Harbaugh's not available. So, the question would then be, well, what about somebody like Mike Vrabel? Most people are coming up with the name Mike Vrabel. Well, I mean, the answer to Mike Vrabel is very simple. He was 54-45 in Tennessee. That's about a little over 500. I would like to see a little better from my coach. And if this is the case, I know what I'm getting from Mike Vrabel. I know I'm getting a coach who is disciplined. I know that he will make players work hard. I know that there are some positives, some real positives to Mike Vrabel. But I also know he makes some boneheaded decisions, and I know that he hasn't won a Super Bowl. So if we're looking at the potentials, then realistically, Ben Johnson is not going to be that far away from Mike Vrabel, at least in my opinion currently. Accountability, look, I know there's a lot that we have to unpack there, right? I know that there's a lot to unpack, and I know that some of you are going to look at it and be like, well, I think Mike Vrabel's going to be awesome for the Chicago Bears. And that's fair enough. I think Ben Johnson. And the reason that I think it is because I want to, number one, cripple my opponent in Detroit and get rid of their top offensive play caller in the league. And then I wanted to be on my team, right? I want to see what he can do with a brilliant quarterback like Caleb Williams. And look, if we look at the comparison, Caleb Williams did the job Jared Goff did yesterday with a much inferior disciplined team. And, Thomas Brown obviously is not the one, and Caleb Williams obviously is, at this point, the one. He's doing things, even on a horrible team, that he shouldn't be able to get away with, yet he's getting away with them. So, really, let's look. If we break this down, it's a very simple answer here. The defense quit on the Chicago Bears about a month ago when Matt Eberflus was gone. So now the Chicago Bears are giving up more points than anybody else in the league for the last 3 weeks. We're losing by an average of 20 points per game because we're not scoring enough points. And really it comes down to, if you were just doing the job you were doing at the beginning of the year and holding teams, then the Bears would be much closer in these games and we would look way better. Now, could it be Eric Washington's play calling? It could be. Could it be that the team's just given up? It could be too. Could it be that Jaquan Brisker really matters a lot in the safety position? That's possible, but I think Jonathan Owens has done an admirable job. I think that, as we work through our subs, I think we've done a pretty decent job at the safety position. If there's anything that's really kind of hurt this team in context, it's been that Tyreek Stevenson has been one of the worst cover guys in the league this year. He has not had that second year improvement, and it got even worse after he, screwed around in the Washington game. It seems like he kind of checked out, and I think he still plays with a bit of pride, and I think he still wants to to do a good job. But, I think there's enough plays and enough problems that he's had that he's just kind of checked himself out of just far too many plays. And he's not elite yet to begin with, so he's gotten picked on just a little bit. I think Tremaine Edmonds was a poor hire at $23 million a year to be your middle linebacker. And that's nothing against Tremaine Edmonds from an ability standpoint. It's just that he's not worth $23 million, in my opinion. It's another bad decision from Ryan Poles, along with Nate Davis. We put a lot of money into a lot of mids, if you will. And look, I'm not in the NFL. I don't really have a whole lot of room to talk, but it's my show, so I get to. So Tremaine Edmonds, I would have, an $8 million, $10 million man in the center would have been, for me, an opportunity to add more bodies and add more people to the mix, better players. So we got a lot of work to do. There's 2 games left for the season. Caleb Williams looking to be the hero of this team by the end of this, all-time record-setting quarterback for the Chicago Bears, with potentially. It should be clear at this point that, within 4 or 5 or 6 years, this guy's probably going to be a perennial Pro Bowler. We're already seeing it on the field. He looks fantastic. He really does. And now the question is, what does this translate to? And time is what we're going to figure that out with. So Ben Johnson, probably going to be your likely selection. Mike Vrabel, still sitting in the wings. There's still Joe Brady out there. There's still a lot of different people. But the story of the Chicago Bears just continues to evolve, and we'll keep you updated on what happens next. All right, guys, that's it. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon.